Eugenia Zukerman is here. To say that I'm a fan would be an understatement. If you like CBS Sunday Morning, and I do, you have seen her performance there, but she is much more than one more interviewer, one more profile artist, one more person who knows and understands music. She is a brilliant musician in her own right. She is also an author, and she also does television. How much can one person do? We're pleased to have her here this evening to share some of her insights with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
I really mean that. I am a huge fan of yours, and I've wanted to do this for a while.
Well, thank you.
And I said to you before we started, I mean, when I look at all the things that you do, I mean, is there some sense of, did you just have a gift for efficient use of time, or what's the lodestar that you go behind in being able to follow all of your curiosities?
Well, I see myself as a musician at the core. That's what I am at the core. I'm a flute player, and everything else kind of fell in around it. I became a professional musician first. I had always written, and then I wrote my first novel, and then I was asked to do Sunday Morning in a very funny way. I was called by the head of the program, whom I didn't know, and he said, "I have a job for you to do. You're going to do it, and you're going to love it." Yeah. And I said, "Is this a crank call?"
Yes,
I had no idea.
You'd never thought about television. You never thought about...
No, I hadn't. I mean, I had been on some talk shows at this end of it, but
right.
I had never thought of interviewing anyone. And
what do you enjoy about it? I mean, how do you see the role that you have on that particular program?
Well, personally, I get a tremendous amount of inspiration from the people I talk with. I've done nearly more than 200 profiles of people. It's almost 15 years that I've been on that show. So personally, I get to hear these people talk about their ongoing passion, and it's deeply inspiring. And I think what I truly love about this forum that I've been given on Sunday Morning is to be able to share classical music with everyone in this country. Because the arts are not just for the elite, they really are for the informed. And I think that Sunday Morning allows us to inform the public in a very straightforward way.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit, because I feel that too, and I don't have a very good ear. You know, I love music and like to have it on, around. I want to hear, because it brings certain emotional feelings to your body and your soul. But I have always found artists, conductors, flute players, saxophonists, violinists, pianists, on my program to be terrific talkers, because by definition they have some passion about their work. And by definition, I mean, they've all been verbal too. I don't know whether most musicians are verbal, but they, across the board, from Sir George Solti to, to Kurt Masur to all range of players.
Yeah.
Musicians have been great talkers.
Well, I think because they are passionate about what they do. And as I get older, and I feel so privileged to have a life in music and to have had a life in music, you realize that it is just boundless, the amount of understanding that you need to keep. Music is endlessly fascinating, and there are a zillion ways to play a phrase. And every time you play a piece of a great master, Mozart, you find more and more in it. And I think musicians are passionate about their work because of the great music we get to play.
Why do you think we don't do a very good job necessarily in communicating the joy of classical music and having that joy resonate through a larger population?
Well, of course, we don't have the NBC Symphony anymore.
Yes,
we don't have the
Toscanini.
We don't have those kinds of things. I think that it has to do with the way in which people are afraid that classical music might be too arcane. It might be only for a certain group of people. I think that Sunday Morning is very extraordinary because, of course, first of all, it exists in real time. It's a nice, relaxed program. It's a gentle program. There's nothing mean-spirited about it. And so the beauty of the arts is allowed to just unravel in a very natural way.
But are we doing enough in our schools and other places, in a sense, to bring the richness of classical music, the richness of opera, the richness of music that is not as popular with young people today?
This is a major problem in our country because unfortunately our government has taken away most funding for arts in the public school system. I myself am a product of music in the public schools. I heard a professional flute player come with the Hartford Symphony when I was a child, and I was enchanted by the sound, and I ran home and insisted on flute lessons. And I go into the public school system, and so do many of my colleagues, because we've realized that it's really up to us now to help this situation, to bring classical music, to teach young people. And I feel if I can do for one child what was done for me, I will have accomplished something.
Your parents musicians?
They're very musical. My mother was a dancer. My father, who recently passed away, was very musical, sang with David Randolph in his choir in New York. So.
And how about your children?
My children are very musical. My older daughter, Ariana, is at Juilliard studying opera. She's a wonderful soprano. And Natalia, my younger daughter, is a painter, but she also plays the guitar wonderfully.
Is this because it's in the genes, or is this because if you're around something and you see your parents love it so much, or you, in your case, parents love it, you will and somehow find your way to it?
Nurture, nature. I think it's kind of a combination of the two. Certainly my daughters heard a lot of music, and not just classical music, in the household. And there is a theory that it is passed on through the genes. I'm not sure.
The flute, it just happened that way, in a sense, that you went to school, you heard it at the Hartford Symphony, and you said, I want one of those, and you fell in love with it, and it's been an ongoing love affair. Is it the sound? What does it feel? It's an instrument you can very much feel.
I think it's the sound of it. Yes, it's the sound of it, but also it's the way in which it's played. The older I get, the more I realize how visceral my connection is to it.
Yeah.
After all, it's set in motion by the viscera, by the lungs. And it's also a very abstract instrument. It's the only instrument that when you're playing it, play like this, you don't see your hands. So very often you don't have a sense of, you know, all the mechanisms that are going on. And it's the only wind instrument that you, when you play it, you do not have a reed in your mouth or a mouthpiece to blow against. There's no resistance. So in a sense, it's very much like singing.
When you play, what are you thinking about? I mean, where is your head and heart?
Sometimes it's in, oh my God, what is that note? And sometimes I have pictures in my head or thoughts that go through my head. And at the best moments, you know, those very rare performances that we all have, it's only the music, and you are just a vessel, and it's going through you.
Is that the happiest time for you? I mean, is that when you're playing?
Absolutely. When it's going well, when I feel that I'm really giving something and really communicating. And the music itself gives you so much.
And this would, do you find it, because you have that experience and that love, that somehow when you talk to musicians, it's a different kind of conversation?
I think when anyone speaks to a colleague, when you do the same thing, there's a resonance that you have that's just natural. But I think that perhaps they can trust me not to ask a question that would be annoying. And I'm also so interested in the process and in what they do and how they do it, that perhaps they just feel comfortable with me.
Are you uncomfortable talking about their personal life? I mean, do you primarily want to talk about the process and their what's
I'm very respectful.
What is their achievement
respectful
in music?
Yeah, it's the music, really, because, yes, I think that we are very revealed when we're on the stage, and I do think we speak through our instruments, and our personality comes through that way. I'd like that to be the personal side of the interview. I'm not tremendously interested in the personal life.
I don't mean just the scandalous, but it is the notion of how the personal life shaped the artist. Is a great curiosity to me. Not just I'm interested in scandal too, but not, you know, I mean, if it's all part of the composition of a human being, but very much in a sense what shaped a person and how those forces are at play in the drive, in the passion, in the in leading to those skills that make them as good as they are.
What I find really interesting is when the personal life has been particularly difficult and yet the musician has overcome something. Evelyn Glennie comes to mind. She's a profoundly deaf percussion virtuoso, which is astounding in itself. And her love for the music and her ability to overcome this hardship is amazing. Or Lily Krauss, the pianist who I interviewed just before she died. She had been in a prisoner of war camp, and her hands had been broken. And what kept her alive and kept her going during that incarceration was music. She said she practiced in her head and that it truly kept her alive. That kind of personal experience is amazing.
You also love to write. Novels primarily, but also magazine articles. You used to write magazine articles. You still do that in terms of essays, those kinds of things?
Every once in a while, yeah.
They always have a musical theme. It is the context is music because what?
Well, I think you have to write about what you know. And although the things that I have written are about personalities and about relationships, I very often, most often, put music at the center of the story because it is what I know. It is what I know best.
Yeah. Are musicians different? I mean, you know artists in a whole range of areas. I mean, whether it's performing arts, whether it's acting, whether it also the visual arts like painting. Are musicians different from other artists in any way?
I think because we're very collaborative, because we work together, because there's a collegial feel, we are really fortunate that we're not isolated. The writer, for example, you do it completely on your own. The wonderful ability to be able to be in a room with other musicians when you're doing chamber music and to work on a piece together and come to a point of view. And musicians tend to be great fun, real jokesters. I think that's a need to release after hours and hours of discipline and trying to perfect something. There is this kind of wild side of musicians.
Is classical music being written, and opera and classical music being written today that's as good as the best that this civilization has produced? I guess in politics, the question always comes up is where are the men and women who are the equivalent of the founding fathers? Where is the Thomas Jefferson of today or the George Washington? I assume musicians might ask the same questions. Where are the Mozarts and the Beethovens and the Brahms and the Bachs of today? And my question is, are they there and they just simply haven't been recognized for that talent? Or do we look back at a special time and say it just caused a flourishing of talent?
I think you never know until hindsight, really, who is going to remain as the great of the time. There are some fabulous composers today who are writing some extraordinary operas and music for instrumentalists. But, for example, Arnold Schoenberg, who now is considered one of the greats of all time, was not particularly popular in his day. But we now know, and because we're used to his tonalities and his means of expression and his tonal palette, he's one of the greats of all time. So I think we're going to have to wait a few years.
But they knew of Mozart at the time. I mean, the sense of Mozart's genius was known when he was 15.
Yes, but not appreciated worldwide. And he did not, of course, I mean, yes, he was touted, and but he was not truly held up as the great that we hold him to be today.
Because he stood the test of time.
There were those who knew he was a genius. There were those who knew Bach was a genius, but it took really time.
How do we explain that genius? I mean, did they just... Those that have some rare gift.
I think it's aberrational. It's something that just falls out of the sky. It is God-given, if you will. It is something that happens so rarely. If you look at a Mozart, how is it possible in his tiny, small lifetime that the output that he had? And scientists say that he couldn't write as fast as he was composing the music. Yes, yeah. He couldn't on a computer even. If you had a computer, you could not have the output Mozart had. And he had an eidetic memory. He was amazing.
You don't compose?
Oh, no.
Yeah, but have you ever wanted to? I mean, is it something you thought, I wish I had the skill and talent? I'm a writer and I'm a flute player. I want to say, it's not flautist, it's flutist, isn't it? Which is it?
I say flutist because I'm American.
Yeah, okay.
Flute player's fine.
Flute player, okay. I was looking to you to say it so then I would know what to say.
Yeah.
But is it, you don't want to compose? You don't feel like...
I'm not gifted enough at it. I have an ability at it.
Have you tried?
Yes, I have, and it's not something that I'm really good at. I'm not a good painter. I'm not, There are things that you can do, and then I think it's unwise to pursue something.
But you discovered early that that you had musical talent and the writing talent.
I knew that fairly early on.
But do they complement each other?
They do very much. I find maybe it's that they use different lobes of the brain or something, but I love being able to express myself in both ways. You know, they each present their own challenges, and I love it when they come together. You know, for example, the concerts that I've been doing for 12 years at the New York Public Library involve writing and playing, and I'm involved in a project now that is going to involve a book and CDs and videos based on the 12 years that I've spent at the New York Public Library with Anthony Newman, the harpsichordist.
Right. There, in fact, here it is. There is a picture of Anthony Newman with you.
That's
right.
Yeah,
yes.
That's us.
Is any passion you have, that anything that you really desperately wanted to do in the world of art that you haven't done?
I desperately want to write another novel, a better novel. I desperately want to keep improving as a musician. I desperately do.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
Keep doing it. Yeah. I know I always used to say to my father, well, how can I do all these things? And he said, just apply your bottom to the chair. And I
just sit down and start playing and practice. Yeah.
Well, just keep working.
And you continue. Are you a better flute player today than you were 5 years ago?
Much better. And of course, that's much, much better, yes. I'm finally figuring out how to play it.
Okay, but why is that? I mean, what do you know that you didn't know?
I think that a lot of the extraneous things fall away, and you get to the heart of something when you spend a good deal of time and a lot of disciplined time at it. As you get older, too, you just can play more fluently. With a wind player, you develop a better breath control.
What's your second instrument?
Piano, very poorly.
Yeah. Then violin you were never tempted by?
No. Definitely not.
Not even for a moment.
No.
Eugenia Zukerman, it's great to meet you and great to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
I'd love to have you come back, in fact. Maybe we'll have one night of chamber music here on this program.
Terrific.